Lynn Kenyon, Everything Montana Real Estate, in conjunction with Live in Montana Real Estate. You've met Joe before. He's got a house he's working on, and he's a foundation guy. So he's a specialist in foundations. We said, hey, if you get a wonky foundation and you're going to try to resolve it, let us know. So here we are this morning, beautiful fall morning in Great Falls, Montana. And all across the nation, really, there are issues with soils. That's the major culprit.
Yep, here we've got highly expansive clay, so it shifts a lot during the wet and dry seasons.
So you've got a house, folks are living in it, so they've got furniture.
Yep.
And they're resolving their foundation. You said a ball would move, it's really bad.
Yeah, it's down about 4 inches right now in 18 feet from the original foundation to this crawl space foundation.
So Charlie will go in here. Joe is just explaining. So looking at this, because it's...
Sure, I'll explain. So this is a 2 7/8 tube that goes down to bedrock, and we have an A-frame we set up and drive it down until we hit bedrock. And then we put these brackets on. We cut out the foundation so the bracket can sit underneath the wall rather than on the footing. And then this part here gets locked in. This is our ram. So as we drive, the coil rod will shorten, and once we get to where we need to be, we'll tighten these nuts up, and then we'll pull the connecting rods in our ram, and everything from here down stays.
So he leaves these. These are about $1,000 each, and he has an engineer who guides him through this process of what needs to be done to level this home. So it's not just, hey, let's throw that in there and see what happens. He has an engineer who's giving him the guidance. So I'm looking here, Charlie, look at that, how the difference is on that. What do you call that?
That's the sill plate there.
That's your sill plate. So that was how you found it. So they tried to fix it at one point.
Yeah, they went underneath and they did what they call the shimming method. It's where they'll push things back up and then they'll block it with wood on top of the foundation to the floor joist and hold it up that way. Well, it works in the meantime, but when the problem is that your foundation's sinking, your issue is really bigger than pushing stuff around.
So if they did nothing, what would happen?
Eventually, it'll continue to sink to the point that you get failures in the walls. They had several cracks here. It'll actually start to separate and buckle your siding.
Okay, safety issues?
Safety issues? Well, eventually it's going to come apart and fall down.
Oh, well, that's not good. You can see, you don't like vertical cracks, right? Those are the ones that are the...
Vertical cracks show you that the house has moved on a horizontal plane back and forth. Horizontal cracks show you that you're getting ground pressure that's pushing and causing it to fold. So in this case, this is just evidence of the foundation moving up and down.
So the vertical are worse than horizontal, I've had inspectors tell me.
You don't want either.
You don't want either way?
Yep.
All right. So how long have you guys been here working on this?
This, I think, is our 3rd day. I think it's our 3rd day.
Okay. So what's the next step? So you came and you said you today found some things you didn't expect.
Yep. We found the shims underneath. So we're pulling the shims out before we lift. So then we'll push the foundation back up to the house. And then once we get to that point, we'll push the house up with the foundation.
Crazy.
Back to level.
So do you do all this by hand, all the digging and...
Oh no, I'm too lazy for that.
You have a backhoe or something?
We got an excavator we use.
You have an excavator that... So it goes all 4 sides have this?
3 sides, because if we go to this side, right here is actually where it goes from basement to crawl space. So the basement area is good. It's just the crawl space area.
Well, interesting. Were they poured at different times?
Yeah, so this was an addition later on.
Oh, this part was. So the crawl space was an addition and they just didn't do it correctly?
Yeah. Well, part of the problem here is that they didn't hit frost depth. So frost depth is 42 inches below the existing grade. As you can see, they only did a little foundation. And so that's going to cause things to lift and settle with the weather.
When was this done?
I have no idea. I would guess, looking at the formwork, probably in the 50s.
So did they have less technology? They just did it faster, or you seeing this? Is this
they
a common
didn't have
thing?
quite the permit oversight.
Oh, interesting. So this is all permitted. Not only
Yes.
do you get an engineer, you go
It's
through
all
the city to
permitted.
get.
It's all signed off. It's all warranted.
Huh.
Yep.
So this is an affordable one at about 25 grand, but if your
Yep.
house falls in, that's
Well, that's your whole house then.
yep, that's not good. Insurance ever look at anything like this?
No, insurance does not usually cover foundation failures. If there was a foundation failure due to some type of interior water, they possibly will. But
Or a catastrophe, some kind
yeah,
of a natural, yeah, huh? Something
but
major,
this is
just
usually
over
considered
time.
lack of maintenance.
Huh, interesting. Crazy. All right, well, let's, so this is gonna take you how long, and then what's the next process?
Oh, they should be done in about 15, 20 minutes, and then it'll take us less than a half hour to lift this.
And what do you use to lift it?
Right here, it's our power pack. It's a hydraulic power pack. So each one of these rams will push 48,000 pounds, which
Holy
is way
smokes.
more than we need to lift here.
And how do you gauge that? Does the engineer give you
Oh, no, it's on the side of our jacks, of our rams actually.
Of
As
what
far
you
as
can
how
do?
hard we lift, when we drive, the engineer tells us what our set pressure needs to be. On this specific one, it was 2,000 PSI per. And then when we lift, we might hit 500 PSI. So the whole idea of the setting it to 2,000 is that we're outdoing the weight of the home by more than 2.
Okay. All right, well, we'll hang out and see what that looks like. Hey,
Yep.
thanks for walking us through this. It's fascinating and so important. I mean, I would say the biggest reason a buyer will walk away in a transaction is they hear there's a foundation issue.
Yep.
I mean, 25 grand is significant, but it's also, if you don't do it, then it's significant, it
Well, we're
sounds like.
saving the life of the home.
Yeah, totally. So that's well worth it, especially with these rising prices. So cool. Well, I'm anxious to see you do it. Thanks.
Yep.
Time.
Just hold it. So if you come over here and look, you can see above the door.
Oh yeah, look at that. So now we're inside with Joe, and you can see, look at even just the hole.
Yep.
You can see from the inside. And then he's got this laser going on, this green laser.
Yep. So the reason I do the laser on the inside is because when we were outside on the footing, showed we were 8 inches out. But I come inside and 3/4 inch down here, 2.5 here. I don't have to move. That's why the tape is on the wall, so I can move the laser around and get the same reading. So at that point, it's easier because I don't know what they did to the floor. I don't know what they did shim-wise to the ceiling. So if we get it all straight and right, then it's correct. So even if the house is leaning this way because it's following the old house, everything matches up, everything's level again, or at least planes through.
Amazing. Awesome. Okay, start your engines. Here we go. Oh, that is wild.
That's good.
So is that how much that one came up? With
yeah,
that difference
the
there?
difference right there between the. This is where it was before, then
Wow.
so that's about the. What's that? 3 inches? -ish?
Yeah, about 3 inches.
Maybe 4.
Dang. That's crazy.
Yep.
Okay, so we're watching it go up. Do you repair these cracks then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you?
We'll just put on these because it's never going to move again. We'll just put what we call a speed plug on it. It's a concrete that when it gets in the crack, it swells.
Okay, so you do try to repair those so it
Yeah,
doesn't.
we just make them waterproof.
So for our viewers who are typically buyers and sellers of real estate, if I'm looking at a house with a bad foundation, and I say, okay, Joe, I don't want this to be a $100,000 foundation. Will you come walk through with the buyer and say, can you even tell until you start
Absolutely.
opening it? You can tell what it's going to take.
95% of the time, we can tell exactly what's wrong.
Just going under the crawl space.
Going under the crawl space, looking at the basement, looking at just the soffit line. I mean, there's a many telltale signs.
So viewers, that's your big cue here. There's a lot of bargain properties that people are scared to death of the foundation. They're intimidated. They won't even make an offer on them because of the foundation. So Joe can come in and take a look and give you a range of what it's going to cost. That you can. There's probably some properties you can steal just because of that. And if there's a way to figure it out, so you know if this is going to be 25,000, 50,000, 75.
Well, you can budget it in.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's super helpful. Well, thank you. Well,
no
Charlie
problem.
will continue to watch this process, and we'll pass it on to you. Lynn Kenyon, Live in Montana Real Estate, in conjunction with Everything Montana Real Estate. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.